Hey guys, welcome back to WD Explains. Today we're going to be looking at solving linear equations and how to work with linear equations. So if we're talking about solving linear equations, we have to understand what linear equation, what that actually means, and how you solve that, what solving means. So a linear equation is basically an equation that has variables like x, y, b, or a, where all of the exponents are 1. So for example, like if we had a squared, this wouldn't be a linear equation, while these would be part of a linear equation. And also any linear equation, if you were to graph it, which isn't in this video, but it'll be in another one, it would always give a straight line. So like this could be linear equation number 1. This could be linear equation number 2. And this could be another linear equation. So every linear equation will give a straight line when you graph it. So here are a couple examples of what a linear equation might look like. So we have a times x equals c, so x is our variable, a is a coefficient, and then c is a constant. We have our standard slope-intercept form of like a regular line, so y equals mx plus b, where m is a coefficient for x and b is a constant. And then we have an example of an equation being rearranged. So this is where x has a coefficient of a, y has a coefficient of b, and then they equal a constant c. And coefficient, by the way, just means whatever number is in front of your variable. So if you had 4v, 4 is your coefficient. And a constant is just a number. So if we had like x plus 4, 4 would be your constant. Okay, so now we know what a linear equation is. So an example of a linear equation would be y equals 2x plus 4, would be a basic linear equation. So why do we need to solve them? And what does solving even mean? So in order to solve, we have to kind of know what to actually do with an equation. So here we have our equation 3x plus 5 equals x plus 7. Okay, so what is this actually saying? So we have our equal sign here, right? So we are saying that 3 times x plus 5 is the same as x plus 7. Now you might be wondering, okay, well, we know that 3x plus 5 equals x plus 7, so what? Well, we want to know what x actually is. This equation, this is no good. We can't do anything with this, so we're going to have to solve it to see what x is. So basically, we have to make the two sides the same and also simplify them. So what is solving? Well, solving is the simplification of the equation. So basically what we want to do, so here we have this equation 3x equals x plus 4. So solving is where we move all of the variables on one side. So we have variables equals constants. Or in an equation where you would have more than one type of variable, you would have your variable of interest equals constants and variables. So an example of this, like a solved equation, would look like x equals 4. And then for the second kind, it would be like y equals x plus 4. So how do we get to this though? So what is solving? Well, solving is basically, the way I like to explain it is, we are undoing the actions on each side. So, okay, what does that even mean? Well, we have 3x equals x plus 4. So if we want to get all the variables on one side, the most important thing to keep in mind for all solving is that we're not actually changing the equation. We're manipulating both sides of the equal sign. So we're visually changing it, but we're not actually mathematically changing. So what we would do here is we would undo the x on this side, and the way we're going to do that is by subtracting x from both sides. So 3x minus x equals x minus x plus 4. And the result of this, if we subtract x from both sides, we're going to have 2x equals 4. Okay, so we have all the variables on one side. Is that solved? So no. So we want to get rid of coefficients as well, especially if it's the variable of interest. And when there's only one variable, that variable is the variable of interest, or what you're asked to solve for. So what would we do here? We would take 2x and we would divide it by 2 to undo the 2 equals 4 divided by 2. So then we would have x equals 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2. So solving is basically where we are undoing things on both sides in order to isolate our variable or our variable of interest on one side. So let's see if we can kind of apply this doctrine. And here we're going to solve for x. So I'm going to let you guys pause and see if you can figure these ones out on your own. Okay, we'll look at number 1 here. So we have 3x minus 2 equals x. So what we're going to want to do here first is get our variables all on the same side. So we have 3x minus 2 equals x. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Remember, we're not changing anything, we're just manipulating it. Because when we subtract from both sides, it would be like saying 2 equals 2, and then you could subtract 1 from both sides. Minus 1, 1 equals 1, because it's still true. When we do the same thing to both sides, it still holds true. So we subtract x from both sides here, and this gives us 2x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so we have variables and constants on the same side here. So we're going to undo that constant. We're going to add 2, and we're going to add 2. So this leaves us with 2x equals 2. So we have all our variables, well, our one variable on one side, but we still have a coefficient. So we're going to do 2x equals 2, and we're going to divide both sides by 2 to undo the coefficient of 2. And this is going to leave us with x equals 1 as the solution for that equation. Here we have number 2, it's x plus 2 equals 2x. We're going to do the same principle here. Okay, we have a variable on both sides, so we're going to undo the smaller one. We're going to subtract x from both sides. And this is going to leave us with 2 equals 2 equals x. And that's the end of that one. That's a very quick one. Okay, number 3, we have x divided by 3 equals 2 plus x. So we haven't seen a division before, so we have x divided by 3. So how are we going to undo a division? We're going to multiply. So to undo a divided by 3, we're going to multiply by 3. So we're going to multiply both sides all by 3. And this is going to leave us with x equals 6 plus 3x. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to get all the variables on one side. We're going to subtract x. Here we have 0 equals 6 plus 2x. We're going to subtract 6 to get the variables alone. So we have negative 6 equals 2x. And then just like before, we're going to take this up here. Negative 6 equals 2x. And then to get rid of our coefficient of 2, we're going to divide by 2. So we have negative 3 equals x, and that's the solution for that one. So we've got some more complicated equations here. Now we're going to solve for y, and you can see here that we do have x's in the equation too. So we're going to have to solve for y. So that means that we're going to have only y's on one side because it's our variable of interest that we're asked to solve for, and there's going to be x's and constants on the other side. So we're going to keep our y's on the left in this example. So we have 2y plus x plus 5 equals y minus 2x minus 7. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to move all the y's to the left. So I'm going to undo the y on the right side by subtracting y and subtracting y. This leaves us with y plus x plus 5 equals minus 2x minus 7. Then I'm going to get rid of the x's on the left side because we said that's where we're going to put our y. So we're going to subtract x to undo it, minus x. So now we have y plus 5 equals minus 3x minus 7. And then last thing we have to do is we're going to have to get rid of our constant that's still on the side with the variable of interest, which is 5. So to undo plus 5, we're going to minus 5. We're going to subtract 5. So subtract 5 on both sides. So here y equals minus 3x minus 12. And that's the solution to this. So even though it still looks like a whole equation, that is the solution to this. So we have our second example here. This is a really complicated one. I'm going to let you guys try this one on your own, and then we'll go through it together. So we have in brackets 3x minus 2y, and we're going to move y to the left side on this one, divided by 2 equals 8y plus 6. So on the left, we're dividing by 2, so to undo that, we're going to multiply by 2. We're going to multiply by 2 on the right side. We have 3x minus 2y equals 16y plus 12. So we're going to get rid of our y's on the right side. So we're going to subtract 16 to undo positive 16y. And we're going to minus 16y over here as well. This gives us 3x minus 18y equals 12. Then we're going to get rid of the x's on the left. So we're going to minus 3x on both sides to undo it. This gives us minus 18y equals 12 minus 3x. And then we're going to divide by negative 18 to undo the negative sign and the 18, because when we're solving for a variable of interest, it's also important to note that we don't want to leave a negative sign in front of it. So the solution to this one is y equals 12 minus 3x over negative 18. It doesn't look very pretty, but that would be the final solution for that one. So the important things to remember basically when you're solving are that you are like undoing things. So if we visit back to our equation here, we have 2y plus x plus 5. So if we were to just go from left to right, we would undo plus x by minusing it, undo plus 5 by minus 5. So in most cases, if you're having trouble, you can just look at the sign in front of something and you know that you have to do the opposite. Or if we're looking at our 2y here, that would be left over. So if we did it in this order, it would be 2y equals y minus 3x minus 12. And after, we would get rid of our y on this side. But if it were different, say if we started with 4y or 5y, this would be 5y minus y, and then we would have 4y equals minus 3x minus 12. And then we see 4y here, so if you're confused, you could just say, what's the opposite of 4 times y? Well, it's y divided by 4. So you would divide everything by 4 to undo that. So that's the end of this video. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys feel equipped to solve linear equations. Thanks for watching.